Hi, welcome to Data Pe Charcha show with Sumit. Today I'm super excited about all the conversation which we are going to have today. Joining us today is a Tableau ambassador and amazing visionary. And when I say amazing, I really mean it. What's so special about him is he believes that data is just a collection of numbers until we turn it into a story. Today, he will be demonstrating various examples, and through various examples, we will understand how we can portray story into our data. Without further ado, let's welcome Swagat. Thank you. Welcome to Data Pe Charcha show with Sumit. Really excited to be here and really excited to be here with you conducting a session of data storytelling. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining.
Hi Sumit. Thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure for me also to be a part of this show.
How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling nice. How about you?
It's cool. Feeling good. Yes. Cool. All right. So, Swagat, I want to know from your side, what is your story basically? I want to know the place where you are, all the struggles or all the place where you are. So, what is the typical pathway that is something which you would like to share?
Okay, so I'll start. I come from a very small town in Orissa. I mean, it's basically a township, Sunabeda. So we have this engine division of HL.
Okay.
So I come from there. I did my schooling till 10+2 there itself. And then I moved to Bhubaneswar. It's like capital city of Orissa for my engineering. Post that, I joined TCS. Campus.
Okay.
And from there, I basically joined as a Java developer.
Okay.
So it was then when I got introduced to Tableau way back in early 2015, end of 2014, early 2015. So where one of my relative, he said me why don't you try this, just to have a look at it.
Okay.
And it was my delivery manager. I had a discussion with him. So he was a person who used to come to everyone's desk to know what actually they're looking for. It's not what actually work, what actually you're looking for.
Okay.
So I just said him that I came across this tool called Tableau. I don't know, should I give it a try? So he was the one who initially said, okay, go ahead. He pushed a bit. To go that extra mile to learn that tool. So, I was not aware of Tableau community by then. So I had to do all on my own, going through YouTube videos to learn everything. And, that extra push of creating a POC, I was like, okay, let me learn, just have it like that. I was not that much keen, but he pushed me again to do a POC on the existing reports which were getting generated by Excel, and they were doing the modifications. He took that upon himself to present it to the clients, get a project, and that's how my journey with Tableau started.
Okay.
And I got introduced to Tableau community and Tableau public late 2018.
Okay.
So it was through this IronViz third feeder of 2018.
Oh, wow.
On this water diseases or something, which I got introduced, but still I was not active. It was early 2019 when I was supposed to get interviewed for a client, and that's when I started creating dashboards in Tableau public profile, and that's how the journey started.
Okay. So I know I've gone through your profile, and in fact what I'm planning to do is even I'll add your public profile link in the description session, so viewer can go and they can see your amazing work over there. Also wanted to know when you started following YouTube videos or the learning sessions, what was the initial process of learning? From where did you started? And because even on YouTube you will see a lot of videos are available. On community also there are tremendous amount of resources available. But again, how do you filter those resources and just focused on the material which is very useful?
Yeah, so YouTube I started just randomly. I was not having, like nowadays we have a whole chart, right?
Yeah.
Step 1, step 2, step 3. It was
Yeah.
not there with me. I
Okay.
was the demerit I had is I was not aware of the community. So it took me some time, like couple of months to go through it, because I mean, I don't remember the channels properly, but I like everything. I learned few things. I did a POC and got it done. Got a project. I mean, I feel people say that's the toughest part, but that is just the beginning. The struggle begins after you get the project.
Exactly.
Because you learn from YouTube, you are like, oh my god, yeah, I know this tool, I'm done with it. I am a champ. It doesn't happen. That's the starting of the struggle.
Okay.
The requirement comes and you are like, oh my god, how to do it? And it is very difficult when you are the only resource.
Correct.
Because you are answerable to them, and you say no and they go and find it somewhere else. It is there. Then you are done.
Screwed up. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, what I used to do is I used to note down few important things in the meeting. So initially how it started is I used to note down, okay, they need this, they need this, they need this. And I never used to commit on anything.
Okay.
And like, okay, let me check this and get it back to you, how much time it will take and if it can be done.
Okay.
So then I used to come back again, do this random Google search.
Okay.
For example, I'll say, okay, how to do a dual access in Tableau, for example.
Okay.
Like dual access in Tableau, how to do it. That was it is literally how I used to type in Google. And then I used to come across with, I used to go through different posts to find out whichever is suitable for me, because some person's post is suitable for this requirement, but it may not be the same for the other requirement. So like nowadays everything is available on Google and we have such an amazing community. Like any problem till date, if I run across something, okay, I have that confidence, okay, some other way it can be done or it cannot be done. If it can be done, how it can be done, it's there in community. I need not worry about things.
Yep.
So
true.
That's how it is. Like to begin with, the first couple of years were really, I am literally saying it is years because I had no one. So it is like, it was very tough, and it was 8.3 I started with.
8.3. Okay.
How the transition has come, right? So it was really a big struggle. And I still remember one of my client who says, like, when you go and say no to something, he would say, see boss, I can do this in Excel. And if it is doable in Excel, there should be a workaround. I am not saying you are unable to do it, you don't have the knowledge. I am saying you just didn't look in that area. Go for a workaround. Try to see how it can be done. And those kind of things kept me going. And I kept on learning different ways of doing a thing. A certain graph may not be possible, but okay, in one graph it is not doable. Maybe I can put them in one container, couple of graphs. Yeah, it is doable, right?
Correct.
So I owe wherever I am today, whatever success I have achieved, I owe to each and every person I have worked with, who have challenged me, who have pushed me to cross that barrier of
boundaries,
comfortableness and all, and go forward. So it's a big thanks to everyone.
I must
whom I have worked with.
I must agree with you, because I have seen just because of this community and the people who are in this community, we have learned a lot, starting from community forum to Tableau Public, and then so many things are there. What all need is just you just need to search in proper way, and then solution will be available for you.
Yes.
Yeah. With this, Swagat, I want to get into a discussion with you. As we know, 2020 is basically, we are living in an era of pandemic. Entire world is facing a lot of issue with respect to it, right? Few of them are also impacting to jobs. Market is going down. So a lot of conversations are going around, how the world would be post COVID, basically. So what is your take on this? What do you think, how we can use this time And what, according to you, what is your perspective, like how world will be in post-COVID era? So
okay, so see, COVID is something which is unavoidable. I think the situation we are in,
yep,
we don't know the root cause first thing, and we cannot blame anyone. Correct. So let's follow whatever the government has or the health officials have instructed, because they are doing it for our best. Let's not question them for that. Wear a mask, maintain social distancing, and whatever rules and regulations you have. It varies from place to place. How we can utilize this time? Enhance ourselves. Everyone will say this, enhance ourselves, because the market is really volatile. It's the survival of the fittest kind of thing. It's literally a jungle where it is like you have the skill set, you will survive, otherwise boom, it's gone. And when you see it is bad, worse than the 2008-2009 recession. So we can imagine what kind of things are going to come. So let us enhance ourselves. When I say enhance, right, I just want to make it a point. I don't know if everyone agrees with me, but this is what my point is. For example, I am interested in BI. Okay. So once one of my managers said me, if you're interested in one particular field, venture deep into it. Okay. Like I'm not trying to demean anyone. It is person to person perspective. I want to do in BI visualization, data visualization. Okay, I know Tableau. What next? Okay. What next I can learn? I've seen people going for machine learning, artificial intelligence. It's good. It's really awesome. And all the best for everyone. For me, it is like I know one aspect of data visualization, or one portion, one tool which caters data visualization. What next? I want to be a BI consultant. First thing is we should know what we want to be. I want to be a BI consultant, which means I should know different tools for BI.
Correct.
So that's where my path is. So I should learn something Power BI. I should learn ClickSense. I should learn Looker. I should learn Data Studio. So one by one. Okay. Along with this, SQL is everywhere necessary, and like maybe a programming language just for like basics. We can do like Python or something. But yeah, so our goal should be clear. So when we go for learning also, just not because everyone is doing it, I'll do the same.
Okay.
Our goal should be very clear. Okay, I want to be this. So what are the steps for it? What are things I should learn to be there? And always have a time frame. So that's what I do. I take a sticky note and stick it somewhere where I look often. Every time I look there. So for me, it's TV. So I just paste it below the TV. And every time I look, okay. So for example, I just finished Data Studio. Okay. It's a Google's BI tool.
Okay.
Kind of.
Okay.
So I had said and one more thing, don't be tough on yourself. We are working. We have to find out time. We are staying with a family. You have to give time to everyone. Out of that also, we need to find some time. So don't be tough on yourself, but whatever half an hour you give, it is dedicated for it.
Full dedication.
So yeah. So I mentioned Google Data Studio end of August. It has to be finished. So I gave myself.
So target was there for you. Target date. Yep.
Yes, that's how everything works, right?
Yeah.
Even in corporate, you have a target date, finish it by that. That's it.
Correct. So having proper goals and goal which is measurable. That's something I would like to call out. Like you have to build a goal, and you have to set your own target and give a proper dedications to achieve that goal. So I completely agree with you. And having that aspect, like people are going from reporting to analytics, but again having some kind of knowledge in other BI tools would also help. So if you know one BI tool, so you know one area of data visualization, but if there is some another tool, how you can tackle it. So to tackle it, definitely I would agree with you, like even other tools are something which we should know. Yep. And since we are talking with COVID, so I have seen one of your viz which you have created to track number of cases on COVID. So I just want to know your thought process behind it. What was your thought process? How did you go ahead and search for the data? Because again, when it comes to the COVID, I have seen number of platforms are coming with data. Again, numbers are here and there, but still there are number of resources which are there for to just download COVID data. What was your thought process behind it?
So the time I started COVID dashboards, there were a lot of COVID dashboards on web.
Yeah.
Not only Tableau, every tool. Mm-hmm. So first, initially, what I built was on a Vault thing. That was the first part of it.
Okay.
Then I was like, okay, let me not focus on the. So this has always been my point. To be honest enough, let's not focus on everything.
Correct.
Because you might not be able to give in-depth information about it.
Okay.
So then I thought, okay, let me build something on India, because I stay in Singapore. So Sarah Burnett had built an awesome dashboard on COVID Singapore. Okay. You literally track it, everything.
Okay.
Then coming to the data, John Hopkins data is already available. You have WHO data. You have data given by Tableau also. Mm-hmm. But India specific, I needed more information. So what I did is to search data. One is Data Vault. You can get any kind of data there.
Okay.
Next is Kaggle.
Okay.
So Kaggle had this data. I don't know. Just give me a minute. I think I have the. Okay. Give me one moment. I think.
Sure.
Happened. So Kaggle had this data. Even Kaggle, you get the data, right?
Correct,
so correct. I took it from someone called Sudalai Rajkumar. Mm-hmm. He had posted this data in Kaggle, and what I did is I took the Excel file, hosted it. Saved it on my Google Drive.
Okay.
And every day I used to keep updating. It's not updated till date because I stopped updating because I could not find proper time, because you need a bit of modification, data cleansing kind of thing. Okay. But that's where I got the file, COVID data. It had a lot of information, but then again I thought of, okay, let me focus on very plain things which even a layman person can understand.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I wanted to keep it very simple, like a map and 2 lines with big text with numbers. So, and I didn't want to focus on the number of deaths, because that's again, I believe, is a negative aspect. Let's focus on recovery. If you see, India has 70% recovery rate.
Correct.
But we still talk about deaths. Why? Yeah. It is important. We should know, but why not talk about recovery
rate, which is very. Yeah. I think in the entire world, recovery rate is really good.
Yeah, it's one of the highest in the whole entire world. So, because it spreads positivity. People are like, okay, you know how social stigma works in India, right? Especially in India, how it works. So when you have, it's not that, you should take it seriously, but on the same time, it's not that deadly. If we are having COVID, we will get cured. Let's not worry about it. Let's not create, fuss about it. Okay, he has got COVID. Let's not, just ignore him, move him out of society and all that.
Correct.
It's not necessary. So that's why I thought, okay, let me focus on number of cases and recovery rates. That should be good.
That should be good. Yep. Yeah. I completely agree with you. I have seen your Viz, and I have seen that it was very plain, but at the same time, it was providing all the information which is required. Again, considering India as a country, you can drill down to a state level, and we can see what all things are happening on the state level. And the point which you have made, that is, rather than showing the negativity part, focus more on the positivity, that is like recovery rate.
Yes.
Really liked it. With this one, wanted to get into another Viz which you have created, and maybe you can start sharing your screen as well.
Yes.
So this is something related to foodborne diseases, and your focus was on mostly on the United States. And after looking at that dashboard, I have seen that again, in terms of storytelling thing directly from the charts, you have completely justified that whiz, right? So top to bottom we can clearly get what all things are going in that dashboard. On similar lines, I would like to know your thoughts. What was your thought process behind building it? How did you came up with your business questions, like business questions, or maybe your objective of your dashboard, like what all questions you want to answer from this dashboard? So over to you. Just wanted to know, so when it comes to the data, but providing story will really add a value. So what is your take on that? And again, maybe you can, if you want to share. Yep. So
yeah. So are you able to view?
Yes,
the
I can
dashboard.
See.
Okay.
I can see. Yes,
so this was, I think, way back in Jan or Feb. This was Iron Quest or something. Okay. So we had the Singapore TUG, Tableau User Group meet, where this was built within an hour or so, less than an hour. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I built this less than an hour in Singapore TUG, and the topic was on the data was only on United States, like different kind of foodborne diseases. From, if you can see the timeline chart, right? It's from 1998. It was from 1998 to 2015. The data was till then. What I wanted to focus is, so if you see on the top, this is a like timeline chart which shows the whole frame, like the complete amount of data which we had. But if you go down, if you see here the header, it says focusing on year 2016. So why I chose this, because if you see there is a spike here in 2006. It's 613 confirmed cases. So that's why I chose to focus on 2006, because again, if I go to focus on every year, it will take time. And first thing was the time frame, because it is just 1 hour and you have to finish the viz. Second thing is that I just want, like, okay, so we need to, there are many aspects when it comes to building a story, right? So for me, the primary thing was to show some proper information and insights. And next thing was the time factor, because you have to build it within an hour. Okay. Maybe if you have more time, you can, give functionalities like swapping filters. So each story changes and everything happens in a way. But for that, you need to devote time for that. Correct. So here it is like, I wanted to focus. If you see here, it is like the virus, which virus was responsible for more amount of illness. So even if you don't, even if like it's a bar chart. So when you see here, okay, if you don't look at this text, also, you look at this bar graph, you can still be able to figure out, okay, norovirus had the maximum, for the maximum cases. I think something happened to the screen. It's not getting rolled down. Yeah, fine. So if you see, this is the virus responsible for the cases, illness. So then first you have
shown the high level picture, the helicopter view. Then you drill down into 2006 and reason behind drivers, like again in another chart you're explaining what are the drivers behind it.
So see, if you see this is the main virus, the virus which caused maximum illness. Then we move to which all states in United States had the maximum illness. So if you clearly see, again, it's California. So selection behind the graph, I'll tell you later. Why it is a bar graph, because it gives me the information. I need not go for a fancy chart. Just
makes sense.
Look at it and it says California 4,611. Okay, oh my God, that's a big number. Then, okay, you got to know which is the virus group. You got to know which state. Okay, then comes what are the hospitalization cases. How many cases were there? So if you see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 12 are months. So again, here is a bar chart again, because it clearly shows me the outliers.
Correct.
8, which is August, and 11, which is November. They are clearly the highest cases. 302 and 192. And then you come down here, it was more, you had the death information. So there were like 6 deaths, which is alarming in the month of August. If you see, hospitalization cases and death cases
correlated
in August are related.
Yep.
So that was the amount of insight I was able to draw within that time. But
awesome.
Yeah, so that's what the focus was. Like, first let me go at an overall perspective. Okay, from year on year, how many cases, confirmed cases are there, and how many suspected cases were there.
Yep.
Also, if you see, I just gave an insight. Okay, foodborne disease is defined. What is, so if someone doesn't know what is foodborne disease, okay, this is just a definition.
Yep.
And then, okay, we gave an overview, the time series. Then we come, okay, let's focus on what is the virus which is more responsible, which states are getting most impacted, what are the number of hospitalization cases per month, so that we can search for a pattern. Okay, August, November, and then when you see the death cases, okay, again August. So clearly August, we need to focus something is happening in August, where there is more number of hospitalization cases and more number of deaths.
Deaths are there. Correct. Okay. Yep. This is amazing. Yeah. So even guy who is not pro in Tableau, or the guy who don't know anything about, what is this BI industry, even if he go and if he see this Viz, so he would be able to understand what is happening. So even I feel that should be our ultimate aim for any dashboard designing, for any BI solution. If we are building, we have to think from a perspective. Suppose if a guy don't know how to read this kind of charts, so that is something where I need to reinvest my time, revisit my Viz, and then maybe I have to start using simple charts in order to build that story, because not everyone is very pro in understanding fancy charts. This story is really amazing because you have started with line chart, then you're focusing on 2006, its driver, then you drill down it to the states, and then there is a kind of correlation kind of thing which you have tried to show with respect to hospitalization, and then number of deaths. This is amazing. I loved it. I loved it. This is really nice. Yep. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yep. And again, on similar lines, I've seen another Viz from your side, and again it was on a social side. Basically, the social messaging is something which wanted to convey from that. It was related to education, which for social good. And again, the first line, like academics without borders, is the title of your chart, is the title of your dashboard, right? Again, maybe you can start sharing screen, and if you could tell us more about it. Firstly, what this program was all about, and maybe again the similar way what you have just shown earlier.
Okay. So this is basically Viz for Social Good is a monthly challenge which comes. So this time it was focused on, this is a group called, organization called Academics Without Borders. So they focus on, there are, like, if you read the introduction, right, it was founded in 2007, and they work on change. They want to help the developing nations with universities, because like there are certain countries which are completely developed, they have very good intellectuals and all, and there are countries who lack in education.
Okay, true.
Okay, so this is to break that gap, bridge that gap, to bridge that gap. And that's how it has all started. It was founded in 2007, and if you see, they have around 125 projects in 32 countries.
Yep.
So that's it was really like when before building the Viz, so they share the data and they share the document as well.
Okay.
About the information. So before building the Viz, the first thing you should do, if you have an article, you should read it. Why? It gives you idea of what you are going to build, what is there, what information it is there, what is the sensitivity of it, and where to focus on. So any article you have before building a Viz, just do read it. It might take some amount of time, but it will reduce the efforts or the thought process you put in while building the Viz, because you know the story.
Okay, correct. Yep.
So if you see again on top, it is it basically the dashboard is all about, the model they follow and the projects they have undertaken. I try to keep it very simple. So if you see on top, it's AWB Academics Without Borders project geographical representation. So you can clearly see, if you hover over, you will see the project name, what is the one-liner they have given, which is the volunteering institution and which year it was started. Also, if you just click over here, you can just see the map changing for that year, and just click out of it. You will go back to the whole.
Okay.
So along with the story, I wanted to include certain features of Tableau. So this is like on filtering.
Okay.
So basically this is a one single sheet which is used for a filtration.
Okay.
So again, just moving down, if you see, this is on a geographical level. Okay. What if I want to know, I want to see it in a list view. So if you see here, it's year wise, what is the project place, and the HDI value, Human
Development Index.
Yes, Human Development Index value. So on top, I have given a instruction, click on each year to view the project and details undertaken in the specific year. So this is something called, I am very bad at remembering terminologies. This is, I don't remember
like
the terminology
hierarchical drill down.
No, it's not. It's kind of set actions.
Okay.
I think. Yeah. Set actions.
Okay.
So if you click on the year, you see the everything expands.
Okay.
Projects, the places where they were they're executed, the partner institutions, the volunteering institutions, what is the HDI value.
Okay.
And you just click on it, it just goes back. So this saves you the space. Only when you click to view something, it opens and the rest are all squeezed. So this saves you space and it gives a very good look and feel to it.
Correct. Yep. I have to agree with you. Yep.
And then we come down. Okay, so these are all projects which are there. So out of them, which are all completed. So they have some 11 or 10 completed projects. What is the value they have invested, number of volunteers they have, what was the net actual cost, and what is the total true value of it.
Okay.
I think if you click on this, it should change. Yeah.
Okay.
So I clicked on this. So this is on PhD in law program was the title. It was executed in Ethiopia.
Okay.
You had 2 volunteers in the year 2017. What was the net actual cost? Project management was this much. Health and travel insurance was this much. Direct costs were this. What was the true value which was given? Volunteering in kind and time value, net actual cost donations, partners in kind. So this all this is like a action kind of. So wherein you click on that particular project and you get to see the actual this thing. And when you leave it, is the overall. And this is only for the completed projects.
Okay.
Next, coming down to the model, which is very important, like how it actually works. So this, I took the help of a tool called Figma for a bit of design.
Okay.
And so if you see here, one AWB volunteer faculty member works with 5 local faculty members to develop new program curriculum and in a mix of online and on-site work.
Okay.
1 person to 5 local faculty members. Then each faculty member teaches to a class of 25 students.
Yep.
So each faculty member 25, so 5 faculty members 125. Now each student, they know the language, they know the program now. So now what I'll do is they'll go and work with on an average 50 clients in a year per year. So this is what their model is. And just wanted to showcase what kind of model they follow, so that when someone goes through it, this is the work they do, but what model they follow, because that's something which is very, very important in a business term, right?
Yep, exactly.
So what is the model you guys follow? It's a general question getting asked. So that is the model they follow. Then what are the actions? People and funding organization can donate. Canadian universities and colleges can become a member of AWB network. Higher education institutions and all qualified people anywhere can volunteer. So I mean, it's even, I want to shout it out now. Anyone wants to volunteer, they can go and volunteer for this.
Yep. Anywhere can volunteer. Yep.
Yes.
Cool,
This was the whole idea behind it, because I really feel Wiz for Social Good is something which is for the society we live in, and after everything we get from it, it's good if we give it back something. I mean, there are a lot of community programs which are there, like Iron Quest, you have Project Health Wiz, you have sustainability SWSD
development
or something.
goals.
Yeah.
Sustainable
yes.
development goals. Yep.
So these are very good projects to work on. I mean, they're monthly, so you can have your time and build something good. And this also enhances your skills and the learning. Yeah.
Correct. Yep. This is also, thank you, Swagat. Thank you for sharing Wiz for Social Good dashboard in front of us. I just wanted to call out, all links will be available in description section. So you can go and you can again do your own analysis from there itself.
Yes.
So Swagat, I want to ask you another question, and again this is kind of a question which I have received many times. So community projects and projects which we work in our office, in the industry, okay? So there is a complete difference between both the things which we work. So at one end, I've seen that mostly in community projects, there will be, let's say, one chart would be at one time would be there, or people will come up with some data densification techniques and they will build some custom charts. Whereas if a guy wants to implement same kind of thing in industries, some or other way, those things are not working the way it should be. So business people are like, they want very simple things which is easy to understand, which even I will agree. But again, in community projects, it will be more of a fancy charts, and plus again, I'm not saying that there is no story, but again, it would be more visually appealing dashboards which we can see on the community, right?
Yes.
What do you think? Is there any way we can blend both the things? And if we can blend, what could be our approach? So think from a guy who is So you got my question.
Yes, I got your question. I completely agree with that. And if you see my public profile, there will be very few dashboards which will be like fancy, kind of like very different, appealing charts, because somewhere I feel like when you come to projects, right, it is always they want something which even if they don't read, they just look at it and it's done. We got the information, whatever we wanted to know. So I mean, it's always good to keep it simple and clean, irrespective of where you're working. If it is work or if it is a Tableau community, it should be clean, easy to understand. People have wonderful visuals in public, okay, but to achieve that particular graph, there is a lot of hard work, background work which has been done. Imagine you build a some chart, I don't remember the names. So you build a chart which needs data densification 3 times. You need to keep a union 3 times.
Correct.
You want to you showed it to your client at work. They are highly impressed. Okay, Swagat, I want this chart. Cool. I am going to build a very good, appealing visualization rather than this boring bar chart. We would say, then I go see the data. It is millions of records. How am I going to build it? Okay, you have a lot of rules. For example, for us, it is like we cannot store anything on the server. No extracts. Everything has to be live. Imagine I have 100 million records and I'm doing a data densification on top of it thrice for a single performance. It's gone. And they want the new thing, but the performance should not get hampered. Sometimes simple graphs do the job. We need not go for it. And basically, if you see, I completely have worked in banking. They don't like fancy charts, to be honest. They don't like fancy charts. Okay. Certain charts are okay, like the Dumble charts, because it gives them information. Pie charts, donuts, these all kind of charts, they are okay with it. But if you go for like a very, unique chart, first of all, you have to teach them how to read it, which is again a problem. And next thing is that sometimes it's difficult to do it. So how to blend it between public and your professional work is, sometimes I'll see, this is my point of view, and it might vary. It's like putting a disclaimer, So I try to keep it simple at both places, because sometimes they know you are in public. Sometimes they go and visit it, and sometimes when you are giving a presentation, okay, where did you get this chart from? Oh, I have done it myself. You can go to my public profile and check it out. And they go and they say, oh, you have done amazing visualizations. Why are RASA so simple here in project? Then you have to explain them. So what, if how I maintain it, somewhere I do a very fancy chart. Okay. Sometimes they don't have any story for me. To be honest, there will be no story in whatever charts I make. Sometimes I just do it out of curiosity. Okay, how it can be done.
Okay.
Most of the time in projects, they look for functionality, drill downs. Click here, I go down here. I click here, I go down here. They want to play around with it.
Okay.
That's the term they use. I want to play with this. Can you give it to me?
Okay. Yep.
And always make it simple so that it's easy for understanding. You build a dashboard for a CFO. What the heck? He has some 5 minutes to go through your whole dashboard, which is a whole workbook, which is like 20 dashboards. And you expect him to, go and see like this. Okay, this is 5% here, 5% there. They don't have time. Boy, I just need to throw this out.
Correct. Yeah.
Whereas I go and give a bar chart or a line chart. Oh, this is up. Okay, fine. I'm done. This is where I have to focus. That's it.
Even table for that purpose would solve the purpose, right?
Yes.
Simple tables.
A table on a hierarchical wise, the one having a large, then again it depends. They want to focus on the negative side or the positive side. This comes in the requirement analysis kind of.
Correct. Yep.
So when you understand it, okay, they want to focus on the negative side. Keep it on the top. Done. They see it. Okay, my work is done. I get paid. You get the insight. That's it.
Yeah. Completely agree with you. So, yes, having simplicity in dashboard, even if it is on public or even if it is in our projects, live projects, business industry, that would help. That would help to business stakeholders, because if they can read it,
but
which means
still,
that
I'm not discouraging anyone. We can go for and build. Sorry, I lost you in middle.
Is it audible?
Yeah, it's audible now.
Yep.
So what I was trying to tell is, I'm not discouraging anyone. We should learn all different kind of visualizations, but no, expecting all visualization to go into corporate level is not
correct. Yep. For learning purpose or for exploring new things, definitely we should not stop ourselves. We should try it. We never know, like tomorrow maybe there would be some requirement that in which we need to build some infograph in our own company, and where we might use something similar to that what we are doing in our community projects. So yes. I must tell you, I'm really enjoying all the conversation which we are having today. It's so much so much things are there which we can learn from all the conversation, from your journey and everything. And I just wanted to keep talk with you, so on. So with this, I would like to know from your side on what platform our listeners can find you, and in what way you're open to provide them help.
Okay, so you can find me on if you want to see what kind of work I do, you can go definitely with Tableau public profile of mine. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me on Twitter. So, and being available for feedbacks, you can reach out to me any of these platforms, Twitter or LinkedIn.
Okay.
Drop me a note, or even if you don't drop me a note, if I see something which I feel okay, something is wrong, or maybe something can be done better, I do reach out to people. So I just drop them a text or a note. Okay, I see this is what I feel. This can be done in this way also. What are your thoughts? Or it's just kind of, advice or, suggestion kind of. So I do that. But also, if anyone wants to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter for that.
Cool. Thank you so much. And again, I'm going to post all your social media credentials, basically, in order to get in touch with you. And again, the last question, I'll switch my language to Hindi. Basically wanted to know, like, कि अगर कोई बंदा है college fresher है, consider a college fresher, and if he wants to pursue similar career what you're doing today, आप क्या advice देना चाहोगे उस बंदे को या बंदी को?
पहली चीज है उनको पता होना चाहिए what they want to do. That is first thing. What you want to do. I like data visualization. I like BI. So that's why I pursued it. किसी को coding पसंद है. Just because market में कुछ hot है. This is a hot thing. BI, Tableau, machine learning. मैं कर लूँगा, मैं पढ़ लूँगा. I'll study, I'll get a certification. But will you survive? That's the question we should ask. Will you survive? तो if anyone किसी को भी data visualization या BI line में जाना है, I would say first SQL, learn SQL properly.
SQL, correct.
Any tool, to begin with any tool. I don't want to limit it only with Tableau because I do Tableau. No. You are comfortable with Power BI, go for Power BI. You're comfortable with ClickSense, go for ClickSense. Tableau, go for Tableau. And there are many more visualization tools other than this as well. So learn these tools properly. Certification does have an edge, but knowledge is more important. And then अगर कोई coding language है like Python, just as you know, because nowadays companies, they don't look for only a Tableau person. Okay, Tableau is main, like 80%, but they need someone, okay, you can do some bit of data wrangling or data modeling as well. Like kind of जैसे हमारे development में होता है, like people who do hardcore development, they need full stack developers. They don't need a front end, a back end and all. They need everything in one.
जी.
Even in BI, people are looking for that. कि हाँ, मैं तुम्हें data दे दूंगा. You do the cleaning. You do whatever code you want to put on it. You put it in Tableau, build the visualization, deploy it, send it to everyone, or give the credential links to everyone. That's how it's going to be. And that is what we are moving forward there. Like a full stack in BI is what I would term it. So first thing is SQL because it is base for everything. Then BI visualization tool like Tableau, ClickView, ClickSense, Power BI, Looker. Then a certain coding language for your benefit.
Okay.
These all things. And one more thing is don't get overwhelmed by what you see in community. It is really overwhelming and you can get demoralized. No need to be that. If you feel whatever you have done is good, it is good. No matter what others say. It is good because you know the hard work you have put in, you know the efforts you have put in. So don't be so much critical on you and keep doing whatever you're doing.
Correct.
That's what I would want to say to anyone, be it a fresher or be it someone with experience. Because sometimes even I feel overwhelmed and sometimes I feel, oh my God, इसने क्या मस्त बनाया यार.
ये चीज हर बार होती है मेरे साथ में.
Yeah, that is not my forte. My forte is not wonderful graphs. My forte is simple graphs. So that's what I want to say to everyone. Learn and keep yourself motivated. No one else can motivate you more than what you can do to yourself. So keep yourself motivated.
Wow. Very nice thoughts. Yep, बहुत बढ़िया बोले आप. So number one, SQL.
Yes.
SQL का knowledge रहना जरूरी है. And adding to that, even I would say कि Excel भी आना चाहिए. Basic Excel is also required.
Excel, yes.
Yeah, it is required because at the end, even if it comes to data visualization, so on backend में pivot वाला ही चीज function चलता है, right? Like the way similar to what we do in SQL pivot or Excel का pivot. So all similar things are happening in Tableau. So yes, go with SQL, go with Excel. Start learning any one tool first. It could be Power BI, it could be Tableau. Start learning that. Be confident with it, and uske baad mein then maybe you can start exploring other tools in other and keep practicing, right? Like the more you practice, the more fine version of your own self you will become.
Yes.
That is one thing. It was really nice talking with you, Swagat. बहुत बढ़िया लगा. This was our first session, and I was like little nervous कि यार कैसे होगा क्या होगा, but again after talking with you I was little ठीक है स्वागत भाई संभाल लेंगे.
It was really nice talking, and it's a very nice initiative you have taken. So keep it up, and all the best for all upcoming sessions. For next wonderful people to coming in, and if you need anything, you can reach out to me.
Sure.
You know my contact. So
cool. Thank you so much, Swagat. Thank you so much. It was really amazing. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you.